very much. Every single day, ladies and gentlemen, will be a celebration. Okay? A celebration because we're going to get closer and closer to Trump being victorious second term. We had record low poverty with Trump, record highs in household median income. Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Hit subscribe.
So there it goes again. The price of gasoline is skyrocketing, and just like the old days under Biden, and came down a little bit, but it's going up, and it's going up big. It's nearing $4 a gallon in many states and much more than that in some. Prices are up almost 6% in the last month alone, and they'll be going even higher. It's going to go higher and higher. The price of gasoline affects everyone and everything. American families are paying for it not only at the pump, but also in the cost of your groceries, your package deliveries, and virtually everything you have and everything you buy. Joe Biden actually wants high gas prices because they help with his ridiculous policy of abolishing gasoline-powered engines and forcing everyone into expensive all-electric cars that don't go very far, as you know, and they take a long time to charge up. That's why when Joe Biden came into office, he shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, which was a travesty. He canceled our oil leases in Alaska, but he approved the Russian pipeline going to Germany and all over Europe. And he waged war on American energy. That's what he did. He waged war on anything American having to do with energy. In addition, Joe Biden's weakness plunged the world into chaos and conflict, further driving up the prices you're paying at the pump, and they're going higher and fast. This plunged the world into chaos and conflict, further driving up the prices you're paying at the pump, and they're going higher and fast. When I'm reelected, reducing the price of gasoline for American families will be a day one priority, and that includes electricity and everything else that comes with it. We will drill, baby, drill. We will slash energy-crushing regulations, and we will restore peace and stability to bring gasoline prices down for everybody. Remember, 3 years ago, we were energy independent, and now our country's a mess. Thank you very much. Under crooked Joe.
So, ladies and gentlemen, he now has billionaires because the billionaires know that inflation and high interest rates do not go high inflation and high interest rates destroy economies. That's why billionaires know they're not going to make their billions with an economy that's teetering on a collapse. We have a stock market crash, unfortunately, that's really about to take place. The stock market is at an all-time high. The fundamentals of the economy are terrible, absolutely terrible. And that's why you have billionaires moving towards Trump. They don't care about the media, the apoplectic it's basically a hysterical, apoplectic reaction from media when they say, I don't know if we could stand another 4 years of Trump. It's the meltdown. They go into this meltdown, this 24/7 meltdown, where they pretend that their reaction to Trump is the reaction of the average American. This is not true. Okay? The average American likes Trump. Now, you could say, well, look at the public opinion polls. His unfavorability ratings are high. That's because you have every single late night show comedian, every single journalist, every single major publication against him at all times, 24/7. And he still has higher favorability ratings than the incumbent. Hit subscribe to this channel. Let's listen to one of the billionaires who will eventually be voting for Trump because he wants a better economy. That's why you vote for Trump. If you care so much about a $20 minimum wage, then you definitely want Trump because we had record low poverty with Trump, record highs in household median income. This was 2019. We did not have the interest rates or the inflation that we see today. So hit subscribe.
Endorse Donald J. Trump as the nominee of the Republican Party and as our next president. And the great Bernie Marcus joins us again, co-founder of Home Depot and the Job Creators Network. Bernie, it is wonderful to see you. I read your op-ed. I thought it was a hell of a thing. You didn't start there, but you come around to Trump. Just give us a sense why you've said what you've said.
Well, Larry, if I listened to you for the last year, you understand why.
Yes, sir.
I've been around. Now, first of all, let me tell you, I'm not with Home Depot anymore. I've been out of there since 2002. I retired in 2002. It's a great company, always will be. But I've been around a long time. I'm 94 years old, and I've seen presidents come and go, Republicans, Democrats, and frankly, I've never lived through a period like this. This is the most incredible period I've ever seen before in my life. And I've always said that the American people will be smart enough to pull us out of anything, that there'd always be the buffer between good and bad. And first of all, let me explain to you that I'm a Republican, but I'm an American first. I'm the original great story in America. Grew up in Newark, New Jersey, in a tenement, poor as hell, and had no money. My family had no money. And look where I am today. It could only have happened in America. And frankly, it could only happen under the system that we have, which is the system of free enterprise and capitalism. And I've watched this guy in the White House. I mean, I can't believe what he does every day. I get up in the morning and I say, what the hell did he do today that's going to destroy America? And he never fails to surprise me. He always comes up with something. And it's never good. I don't know who the hell his advisors are. I don't have a clue. But he's supposed to represent all the people in America, and he doesn't. The poor people and the people that continuously vote that way, which is incredible to me how that happens.
We had record low poverty with Trump. Poverty is up under Biden. So we had record low poverty. It's up under Biden. And we had record highs in household median income. We've had real wages down up until recently, I believe. Maybe they might still be down because of inflation. And the interest rates going up, when they say, well, we lowered inflation, they're lying to you. Interest rates went up. Tough it out, by the way. And Paul Bartlett, to my super chat, I cannot thank you enough, Paul. Thank you. Tough it out. Thank you for watching for so long. Thank you for your support. Patreon will be below during the upload. And to my super chat, thank you. We had a great economy. Democrats look at everything, liberal Democrats, progressives, everything's this moral endeavor. Kevin, thank you. God bless you too, Kevin. Thank you. Everything is this moral crusade with progressives, and yet they vote for more poverty, greater poverty with Democrats. We had lower poverty with Trump. Fact. Until Democrats said we should tank state economies and governors shut down economic activity. That was not Trump's policy. Trump's policy was of an economic revival. We had an amazing economy with Trump.
But I see them in this last election prove that maybe the American people aren't that smart, that maybe they're not going to bail us out. And the only one out there that I know has the experience to fix things. That's what he does. He fixes things. Now, you may not like what he says. He pisses off a lot of people. Every time he opens his mouth between the Air Force One and a helicopter, he says something that irritates somebody. But the truth of the matter is that if we don't change the government in this next 24 election,
Yes.
this country
Yes.
is dead. I've never said that before.
if you have a foreign policy like Biden's foreign policy, okay, that ignores certain allies or abandons certain allies and then focuses on others, and then makes the world less safe. We're talking about a nuclear confrontation that I've been talking about for a long time. I said there's going to be a nuclear confrontation. They have no vision. You look at numerous regions of the world, okay, Middle East, Asia, throughout the world, in Haiti, things are breaking down because America is not only these, there's this, you could say, not respected anymore. That's cliche. Everyone knows Biden and Democrats have no vision. What is it they want? With Trump, you had the first president to step foot in North Korea. You had the Doha Agreement, brought home Americans that Biden reluctantly abided by. You had that, and then it was a May 1st, 2021 withdrawal. He completely messed that up. American lives were lost. Afghan lives were lost. Okay? We have Americans being held captive, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to get into it right now. Not one word from Democrats or the president. Americans. Not one word. And you have this talk where you have an alliance that was started decades and decades ago for a good reason. And the point is to keep us safer. Are we safer? There was an immediate invasion in Europe when Biden, basically less than a year after he took office, about a year. And we are less safe in terms of foreign policy. Our economy is teetering on a stock market collapse. Lord knows the Bitcoin catastrophe that awaits us. And Democrats keep voting Democrat. Look at the major cities of this country. Look at the major cities of this country, ladies and gentlemen. How are they doing? Crime is up. You have people taking over houses that don't belong there, that don't own the house. I mean, they're okay with all of this. It's like, and every single swing state poll, Trump is up. That's without any media support. Again, no media support. I mean, I have a small channel, relatively small, 226,000 subs. We'll get to 300,000 soon. But, you do have a great many people on YouTube with big channels supporting Trump. But Jimmy Kimmel every night, Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyer, Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, New York Times. I mean, it's a public relations monstrosity. Robert De Niro. They all despise Trump as the country's going to you-know-where in a handbasket. Hit subscribe right now. Tough it out, Kevin, Paul. God bless you all, everybody watching. Thank you for the super chat. Let's continue.
And look,
I don't see any way out.
Just say what you will about Mr. Trump. He brought us peace and prosperity. And right now, in your article, you make this very clear. We need a strong hand in the White House. Now more than ever, we need a strong hand in the White House.
Well, it's not only the economy.
Yes.
I mean, look what's happening. This president has got two wars on his hand, Ukraine and Israel, and God knows where that's going to happen, where it's going to go. We have China sitting out there as a terrible threat, along with Russia, and he's just doesn't know which way to go. I don't know who's feeding him or who's pulling the strings. Maybe you do, but he doesn't come up with the right answers no matter what he does.
Yes.
And the American people are going to suffer because of it.
Yes.
I mean, right now, people can't pay their bills.
Yes. Yes.
Job Creators Network that I helped co-found about 8 years ago had a lot to do with that corporate tax cut.
Yeah.
Ryan
Yeah.
wasn't going to consider it.
Yeah.
And they kind of forced it through.
Well,
And that kind of saved America.
yeah,
But Trump was totally behind it.
yeah. Well,
But
Bernie,
look at what happened.
time is always short on these shows. But I just want to say, Bernie Mark, because I've known you so long, you are, first of all, fabulously successful American dream story. You are also, even today, sir, you are a important business and philanthropic influencer. That's why I wanted people to hear what you had to say.
So there's a reason. Paul, thank you so very much, Paul. Paul Bartlett, thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough, Paul, in Australia, to my viewers everywhere around the world, in the Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada, Nigeria, Korea, everywhere around the world. Thank you. Thank you for watching. And God bless you. Thank you so much. But ladies and gentlemen, it's not about popularity. I don't really care if a person doesn't like Trump's personality. I want a great economy and a great foreign policy. Can I have that? Is that a problem? Is it a problem to have a great foreign policy? Paul, thank you again. My goodness, thank you. I want a great foreign policy and a great economy. We had both under Trump. But now we have an economy that's right. I mean, I've been saying there's going to be a stock market crash. Unfortunately, I think there will be. I think there will be a market crash. I really do. And I mean, Lord knows what Biden will do or Democrats will do when there's a stock market. They will blame Trump. It's their fourth year in the executive, and they'll blame Trump. Let's listen to former President Trump right.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor.
By the way, this was right after the billionaire fundraising event for Trump. Democrats have had billionaires for decades, okay? Decades. Now you have billionaires that didn't vote, that didn't want Trump, now saying, my God almighty, it's a catastrophe in the Oval Office. Biden and Democrats have been an unmitigated disaster in terms of the economy. And they flooded the country full of strategic petroleum reserves as they pontificate about the environment. The biggest hypocrites you've ever seen in your life. But anyway, we had such a great economy in 2019 before Democrats and media and bureaucrats and a consensus, quote unquote, said we should shut down economic activity, which, by the way, the economic repercussions of shutting down state economies, unfortunately, have not been realized yet. Again, unfortunately. Thank you, Mitchie Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. In Florida, thank you. Unfortunately, we have not yet seen. Unfortunately, we have not yet experienced the economic consequences, repercussions of shutting down state economies and pumping trillions, $10 to $15 trillion. By one estimate, $1 out of every $5 in circulation has been printed in the past 5 years. Essentially printed. But anyway, let's listen to President Trump, future President Trump.
That you're here. It's going to be a very spectacular evening, and people are just wanting change. The rich people want it, poor people want it, everybody wants change. Our country is really doing poorly. We're a laughing stock all over the world, and we're going to get that change very quickly. And this has been some incredible evening before it even starts, because people, they wanted to contribute to a cause of making America great again, and that's what's happened. We're going to make America great again. Everyone knows it. The election's going to be in now a little more than 6 months, and it's going to be the most important, I believe, election we've ever had. I think it's going to go down as the most important date in the history of our country.
It will be the most important. It will be because of foreign policy and economic policy, and because of how Democrats have completely tanked foreign policy and economic policy. Completely just, it's been an unmitigated disaster on many fronts. It will be the most important November in decades, really. Because if we continue with mashed potato brains in the Oval Office and Democrats, Lord knows what happens in terms of foreign policy. Lord knows what happens in terms of economic policy. And it's like media will melt down, all the comedians and Hollywood actors will melt down, but I don't care. You shouldn't care either. The future of this country is at stake, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care about a person's personality. And anyway, I like Trump's personality for the most part. For the most part, he's hilarious. He's really a remarkable human being and a remarkable man. He's probably a much better human being than Biden or President Obama or Bush. Trump did not destroy a country. The other presidents did. Intervention in Libya, President Obama's biggest mistake, he said. What if Trump did that? Human beings are we're being bought and sold in that country, according to CNN. My God. Then you have Bush, which we don't even need to say anything about that. Then we have Biden, and everyone's getting invaded and completely, attacked under this presidency. So we didn't have a new military conflict under Trump. First president, since Ford, not to start a new military conflict? I mean, what's there not to like? If you just cared about, if you weren't like part of this team or tribe or the being a liberal Democrat's like a religion to many people. But if Trump was a Democrat, they would say he was one of the greatest Democrats of all time. Aside from certain issues, obviously, but in terms of the economy and foreign policy, they would.
November 5th will be the most important date in the history of our country, and thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here.
Did you talk to Garcia's family, President Trump? Will you accept former Haley's donors, President Trump?
All right, thank you guys.
They say that a lot of Democrats say Trump is a terrible human being. He's been accused of a lot of things. Biden also, too, was accused of a lot of things by a lot of people. The difference is that media doesn't champion the people accusing Biden or Hunter or others. Media champions any accusation against Trump. And so you have that he did not get us in any new conflict. In fact, he wanted to get us out of a certain region, a certain country, and the Pentagon lied to him. But if there's a lesser evil politics, Trump is by far the lesser evil. You would have to be a complete ideologue to say that the country is better off without Trump. Look at the track record. Look at what's taking place in the world. It didn't happen under Trump. Media pretended as if it was happening, but it didn't. It didn't. And again, it's like, let's listen here. This is interesting. You don't get this type of discussion about auto workers with Biden, okay, or Democrats.
What's happening to our auto workers is an absolute disgrace and an outrage beyond belief. Auto workers are getting totally ripped off by crooked Joe Biden and also their horrendous leadership, because these people are allowing our country to do these electric vehicles that very few people want. And it's a mandate. So you'll ultimately be forced to drive in a car that goes for an hour and then you have to have it recharged. I hope you don't want to go very far away. Biden has imposed the outlandish requirement that 67% of all new vehicles must be electric in less than 10 years. That means Michigan and places that make cars, you can forget about it. You better get your union working because you can forget about it. Those cars are all going to be made in China. According to the UAW president himself, one auto company CEO used the word brutality over 40 times in a single conversation to describe Joe Biden. I call him Crooked Joe because he's the most corrupt president in history. He's also the most incompetent. But Joe Biden's cruel and foolish electric vehicle mandate, that's how bad this policy is. Your union heads know it.
The electric grid in every major city of this country cannot sustain millions of vehicles being charged at the same time or, within an hour or so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you care about the environment, and there are already outages in terms of the electric grid in major states and major cities. Like in the summer, for example, you have outages throughout the country. So I don't get this push. And also, the electric car vehicle battery is not made of a sustainable material, let's say. In fact, the mining of cobalt, people lose their lives mining cobalt, lithium, nickel. And so, that's not good for the mining alone is not good for the environment. So, you talk about carbon footprint, but the carbon footprint in many of these metrics don't take into account the mining process for electric car vehicle batteries.
But the union bosses don't want to do anything about it because they're not leaders. But you know who's voting for me? The people in the union. Yeah, the union heads and the Crooked Joe keep using the phrase fair transition. There's no fair transition. First of all, people don't want the electric car. And the ones that want it should get it. But we want to have all forms of transportation and all forms of motorization to describe this unnecessary forced transition to electric vehicles. But there's no such thing as fair transition that destroys over 100,000 auto manufacturing jobs. It'll be much more than that. Wastes tens of billions of dollars that should be going to the workers and makes new cars entirely unaffordable for the middle class. That's a transition to hell. You're going to hell, and your bosses are leading you right down the tubes. You shouldn't pay your fees.
We had record low poverty with Trump. We had record highs in household median income, 2019. Every demographic group was doing better. Real wages were up. Fact. Real wages are down under Biden. They're not only down under Biden, the only reason inflation is at 3% instead of 9% is that interest rates are exponentially higher. They raised it, and then they flooded strategic petroleum reserves. How is that green? Please, somebody on the left, far left, progressives, tell me how it's green to beg other countries for oil like Biden did and then flood millions of barrels of strategic petroleum reserves that were not meant simply to lower the price of oil. They were meant for like a catastrophe. Biden comes in, signs these executive orders against American oil companies, then says, oh, it's their fault. They're price gouging. And it's like, you made it more difficult for them. After you shut down economic activity, Democrats shut down their state economies in the most apoplectic and paranoid reaction, as always. Then they silenced people on Twitter with government intervention, breaking the First Amendment. Certain agencies were in cahoots, in coordination with Democrats and all the wonderful, morally superior liberals who ran Twitter. It's like failure after failure. It was so much better under Trump. The numbers don't lie. The numbers categorically show that we were much better under Trump.
They get these big fees from all of their workers, and it doesn't matter how bad they are, they'll endorse a Democrat, even though the Democrat's selling you down the tubes. Both the UAW bosses and the big three auto executives should be screaming at the top of their lungs. They should be ashamed of themselves, demanding that Joe Biden cancel his brutal electric vehicle mandate before it destroys the entire U.S. auto sector. If the union bosses and the CEOs refuse to fight back against crooked Joe Biden by forcing him to repeal this disastrous electric car scheme, then you will know they're not pro-worker, they're not on your side, they've got some deals going for themselves. And I'm telling you, you shouldn't pay those dues. You should not pay your dues because they're selling you to hell. You're going to be going to hell. You're not going to have any jobs. All those cars are going to be made in China. Every one of them. You can forget it.
Everything this man said was accurate. Okay, he said certain European countries would be beholden to oil and gas from a certain country that invaded another country, and of course that's right. And people laughed at him. People laughed at him. And he was right. Then he said, oh, let's build a wall. People, no, that's immoral. Oh, you have more tragedy and human rights violations and atrocities taking place. There was one man I just saw, he was either on YouTube or this poor young man was abandoned by the quote-unquote organization that helped him cross into the country, abandoned in the desert. And he was, distraught. And my God, I mean, the scene was just so, heart-wrenching. Here you have this young man sobbing, lost in the desert. Do you think AOC cares? Do you think Democrats are looking at a chain link fence into nowhere? They don't care at all. They only care when Trump, which, by the way, we had less atrocities, some things were, and he changed that policy. But you talk about the people who have gone missing, the people who have been taken advantage of, the people who have gone into situations that are horrific. The numbers, we don't even really know the numbers, which are far greater than anything that happened under Trump, because Democrats, essentially have just done away with any, they've just done away with any border. They actually don't even care. They don't even want anything separating us from other countries. That's essentially what their domestic policy is. Really, it is. It's just unbelievable, the atrocities taking place in that geographic region of our country without any condemnation from Democrats. The only condemnation takes place when Trump's in office. That's the way Democrats are brilliant at utilizing indignation and outrage in the most hypocritical and deceitful manner.
Michigan, you can forget it. South Carolina, you can forget it. Everybody. All of those cars are going to be made in China. We sit on liquid gold and we're getting rid of combustion engines. And they sit on all of the other materials that you need for the batteries. They're going to make all those cars. We're not going to make any of them. So to every auto worker, I stand in total solidarity with you in your fight against Joe Biden's job-killing Green New Deal insanity. It's insanity. When I am your president, I will deliver higher wages for auto workers. I will protect your jobs. I will end Joe Biden's catastrophic electric vehicle mandate. And by the way, if you want an electric car, you're going to get it.
Also, they're not talking about banning fracking. Remember the left would talk about banning fracking? I used to talk about that 7 years ago. Can you believe that? How stupid I was. How naive I was. They don't talk about that because it would be absolutely, completely the worst thing that could ever happen to the economy. Heating your house in winter in Minnesota or Michigan or Wisconsin you wouldn't be able to afford it. And so it's like, or Illinois, it's just unbelievable. They have these quote unquote policies. They want to pack the courts. And these are like, it's like the most sophomoric. They don't even, it's beyond, it's completely irrational. Pack the courts. 557 liberal justices. This way we get our way. It's like, no, you cheated Bernie Sanders, which Bernie Sanders was a tool of the machine or the establishment that he claims to be against. The DNC emails showed you don't even have a functioning primary, and the DNC chairwoman resigned. Then you lost. Then you blamed another country. And then Trump, thank God, because I'm more conservative on things, thank God nowadays, put in three conservative Supreme Court justices. Which, by the way, it's like when a Republican, I can't vote for Trump. It's like, you don't like the three conservatives on the Supreme Court? What do you want? You want some like Nikki Haley voters? Like, a lot of them are Democrats, and it's like they would go after Nikki Haley. They would indict Nikki Haley in 2 seconds. Democrats would. They would find something. That's their new playbook. Every time they do something outlandish against Trump, and want to imprison him for crimes that aren't really even crimes. They're not crimes. They're accusing him of crimes he didn't commit, just like they accused him of being an operative of another country. But they utilize these statutes that they've never utilized before, and they certainly would never utilize against Democrats. There are bribery and graft statutes you could utilize against Joe and others. They would never in a million years do that, Democrats.
But you're going to be able to get all other types of cars, types of vehicles that you want. And on day one, you're going to be back in business with me, and those factories are going to start opening up again. Remember, when I got elected, I told you all about this in the campaign. And when I got elected, hardly a car company built outside of this country. I stopped it. They didn't go to Mexico anymore. I said, if you go to Mexico, I'm putting a big tariff. You'll make a car, you can have a 25% tariff if you send that car back into the United States. I stopped it. Well, right now they're doing it again, worse than ever before. We lost 32% of our industry to Mexico prior to my getting there, and we lost almost nothing. In fact, we were taking back our industry, but now it's going again. I'll straighten it out. But you have to vote for Trump. You have to vote for Trump. You can't listen to these union guys that get paid a lot of money and they get wined and dined in Washington. They know that electric cars are no good in terms of our workers. So vote for Republicans, but vote for Trump. Because if we don't win this election, our country, not only in terms of auto workers, our country will go to hell.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. You know, there are things that we see that, like, you just go back in time during President Obama's administration. President Obama would not allow most of the things taking place that now Democrats are allowing. And it's unbelievable. They govern through liberal public opinion polls and a media monstrosity. If they didn't have all of media backing them, I mean, I don't know. What's their vision? They wouldn't. You're already seeing, if they didn't have all of media, you would see the public opinion polls, presidential polls with Trump running away with it. You would see Trump running away with it. Kelly, I agree. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I'll be back tomorrow. Tough it out, Paul, everyone here, Mitchie Cool, Kevin. Thanks, everybody. God bless. To my super chat, thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow evening, possibly tomorrow in the afternoon as well. Hit subscribe. We have the Supreme Court coming up, ladies and gentlemen. The Supreme Court immunity, presidential immunity, is going to be a huge victory for Trump. I told everybody it would be a unanimous Supreme Court victory regarding the overturning of the Colorado ballot. This is going to be even more important. Paul, thank you so very much, as always. To my super chat,